I think it's crazy the words we have for erectile dysfunction. Things like flobberworm, gummy worm, meat slinky. But I think we make up these words because we see it as a source of embarrassment, something to be poked fun of. But it shouldn't be. You know, none of us get embarrassed by having a broken arm. It's just a thing. None of us get embarrassed by having asthma or diabetes. It's just a thing. So why is it that we should be embarrassed when our penis won't develop an erection when we want it to, or for as long as we want it to? You know, no man's worth is ever measured by the extent of their erections, unless you're a porn star, and then you're probably not watching this video. But somehow, just by admitting to ourselves or to our GP that something's not working right, and that all there is to show in that crucial moment is a sleeping giant, then somehow that means that you're less of a man, and that is a crock. And if that's what you're thinking or that's what you're feeling, then you have to stop it right now, because that is the furthest thing from the truth that there is. We know as medical professionals how much it impacts your relationships, genuinely impacts your relationships and your friendships and your sense of self-worth. It is a real thing, an important thing, and with appropriate treatment, it needn't be a thing at all. I'm Wendy, and I'm a nurse with a crazy idea of getting a farm, and today I'd like to dispel some of the myths around erectile dysfunction. I'd like to reveal how common erectile dysfunction is and how easy it is to obtain treatment. I want to try and keep this light-hearted, because every bloke has either been the brunt of the joke or has joked about someone else not being able to get it up. But it's actually more common than you think. For every 10 years of life, you have a 10% increased risk of having some form of erectile dysfunction. So when you're 20, you have a 20% risk of having some sort of issue. When you're 30, you have 30%, and 40 at 40%. But just like every other part of the body, there isn't just one thing that goes into making up a fully functioning erect penis. There is both physical components and emotional components. In order to get an erection, there needs to be 3 parts that are working properly. So you have to be in the right mental state. So if you're drowning in debt, for example, or you've just received an eviction notice, or you've even just had a bad day at work, or a fight with a sibling or a friend, you're not going to be in any emotional state. One of the other things that people find is also performance anxiety. That you've just met an absolute stunner at the pub, and you want to, be that lion. But it doesn't want you to be. It's scared. So it just won't. And it won't because a thing called nitrous oxide in the brain is the starting hormone that's triggered when we become aroused. Now, don't just think you can start taking nitrous oxide and your erections will just come back, because they won't. It will actually switch off the part of the brain that's responsible for your heart and your lungs. And then it won't just be your penis that's stiff. And your blood vessels have to be working properly. So your penis needs, on average, an extra 27 mils of blood in order to maintain an erection. So if your blood vessels, and 27 mils isn't much, but if your blood vessels, perhaps you have high blood pressure, perhaps you have hardening of the arteries, maybe you're an older person, and this is a really good reason to give up smoking, because it means that you'll actually be able to have an erection for longer throughout your life. That if your blood vessels aren't able to constantly keep that 27 mils in your penis, then there is no way in the world, all the wishful thinking in the world is not going to give you an erection. Your blood flow into your penis can also be exacerbated by alcohol, drugs, smoking. Have you ever heard the term the Foster's flop? Yeah, too much Foster's lager, and that's it. That's it. You just will not be able to. So smoking and alcohol and drugs can have a real impact on your ability to have an erection. And structurally, what if there is something structurally wrong? And I'm not talking about being born with a deformity. I'm talking about having something happen. Now, have you ever heard of a thing called Peyronie's disease? Now, I don't know if you can see, but I've got Peyronie's in my little finger. It won't go flat. I had trauma to the finger and the muscles have constricted. I've got some scar tissue and the muscles have constricted and I can't get it flat. Now, the same thing can happen in a penis. Put your hand up if you've ever been kicked in the nuts. Put your hand up if you've ever slipped off your bike and you know that bar in front of the seat? Boom! How many of you have ever done that? And so what happens is that you curl up in a little ball and then you get on with your life. And have you ever noticed that maybe your penis isn't 100% straight like it used to be, a little bit crooked, a little bit kinked? Well, that's Peyronie's disease, and it's scar tissue that's built up more on one side than it has the other, and it makes it curve. And so you can actually get treatment for that. Now, some people have Peyronie's disease to the point that their penis is at a right angle. Now, that's the extreme, and most people aren't in that boat. But if you've got any sort of change in shape in your penis, then it's going to make it very difficult to have a sexual relationship. But there is treatment. They can inject directly into the scar, not into the penis itself, but into the scar so that it softens the scar and relaxes it. There's physiotherapy for your penis. You do it at home, not at the physiotherapist's office. And if push comes to shove, they can actually do some surgery, do a little nick into the side of the penis and just remove the scar tissue. They're not removing any of your penis, just the scar tissue. And they sew you back up and you're good as gold. So the next question is, what happens when I get to the doctor's office? Is he going to want to see whether I can get an erection or not? What's he going to want to look at? And the short answer is no. He might want to do a physical exam and just make sure that things like your prostate is okay. Make sure that you don't have anything extra in your scrotum, you know, that there's just testicles there. But usually what they'll do is they'll check your blood pressure, you know, in case it is a blood pressure issue, you know, and they fix the blood pressure and all of a sudden your penis is off like a rocket. You might have diabetes. Diabetes can impact the blood vessels as well. You might have a hormone imbalance and you might be none the wiser. The only thing you know is that you can't get it up. And so these are the things that the doctor will ask. One of the other things that your doctor will ask is, how are things going at home? Have you got any stress going on in your life? Because if you and your partner are arguing, then you're not going to trigger that hormonal cascade for the blood to go into your penis. If you've just been fired, or if your boss is giving you a hard time, or you're living in a suburb where there's lots of break-ins. You know, there's all sorts of stress, and your doctor will ask about it. It's really important to tell them too, so that your doctor can paint a full picture of what's happening. Now, once all of that has happened, then they start doing the studies. So they do have to check the quality and quantity of your erections, but they do it while you're asleep. Yep, having multiple erections while you're asleep is a normal thing. So they have a device and they strap it to your leg, because every time you have an erection, the nerves and the muscles in your legs respond at the same time. And you then take that back into the doctor and he has a look, and that gives him a better picture of what's happening, whether you are in fact having erections while you're asleep, whether you're only having a couple instead of what would be expected for while you're asleep. There's also medications. I am sure every person on the planet has heard of Viagra. You know, Viagra was an absolute game changer. And they're doing research into all sorts of things. You know, you've got the penis physio at home. They're doing research into... This is funny. All right, let's start that bit again. They're doing research into the venom of the Brazilian wandering spider, because apparently that's a thing to help with your erections. Now, the funny thing is that it's also known as the banana spider. I thought that was pretty cool. So I hope just even by a little bit, just a little bit of the information that I've given you, that it is perfectly normal to have something not working right in your body, and your penis is part of it. And so if you're 30 years old, you have a 30% likelihood that there will be something that isn't working right. That's a lot of percentage. And it might just be a little bit, and it might be something that you can just put up with. But if it's something you can't put up with, if it's something that's intruding into your ability to live your life, if it's causing you pain, if it's interfering with your relationships, please go and see your GP. No one is going to laugh at you. And in fact, the GP is going to take it really seriously. So this has been another Nursing Hub video. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Welcome to the village. And if you haven't hit subscribe yet, hit subscribe, hit the bell and share the love. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.